The research station floated between two pale blue stars, silent and cold. It was one of the most advanced stations ever built by the Galactic Union, yet most beings avoided it. Not because it was dangerous, but because of what it held inside. Humans were new to the galaxy. They were allowed into the Union only a few years ago, and even then they were considered weak. Too emotional, too fragile, too short-lived. Humans were given small roles: security, maintenance, labor, never research, never leadership. Ethan Cole knew this well. He stood alone in a long white corridor, wearing a simple security uniform that felt too thin for space. His assignment was boring on paper: perimeter patrol near a restricted wing. No combat, no glory, just standing and watching doors that never opened. He had been a soldier on Earth once. He had seen war, fire, and death. Now he was guarding silence. The restricted wing was sealed with layered energy fields and guarded by automated drones. Ethan was the only living guard assigned there. The aliens believed machines were more reliable than humans. Ethan did not argue. He needed the pay. Behind the sealed walls was the reason this station existed: a being so rare and powerful that entire star systems had gone to war over her kind. Her name was Leora. She was not made of flesh the way humans were. Her body was a beautiful shape of glowing light, contained within a stabilizing chamber. Her species, known as the Ilari, were living energy beings. They could manipulate power on a scale most civilizations could only dream of. They could fuel fleets, collapse stars, heal worlds, and they could not survive for long. Their own energy tore them apart. For centuries, the galaxy had tried to find a way to stabilize them. Technology failed. Isolation failed. Even their own kind could not stay close to one another for long. Too much energy in one place led to destruction. Leora was the last noble of her line. If she died, her people would lose their final connection to the Union. That was why she was here. Inside her chamber, alarms flickered constantly. Energy readings rose and fell in dangerous waves. Scientists watched from afar, never staying too close for long. The station had already lost 3 researchers to energy surges. Ethan knew none of this in detail. He was not told. Humans were not trusted with secrets. All he knew was that the restricted wing felt strange. Sometimes when he stood near the sealed door, the air felt warmer, sometimes calmer, other times heavy like a storm waiting to break. On his 3rd week of duty, something went wrong. It started with a low hum that vibrated through the floor. The lights dimmed, then flared bright. Warning symbols flashed across the corridor walls. Ethan's training kicked in instantly. He reached for his communicator. Security reporting. What's happening? No answer. The hum grew louder. The door behind him, the one leading to Leora's chamber, began to pulse with light. Ethan hesitated. Humans were forbidden from entering the restricted wing without direct orders. Violating that rule meant removal from the station or worse. Then the alarms changed pitch. A sharp, urgent tone. Containment breach imminent. Ethan swore under his breath and ran to the control panel. The interface rejected his access code immediately. "Of course," he muttered. The lights flickered again, and this time a wave of heat washed over him. He stumbled back, heart pounding. If containment failed, the energy release could tear the station apart. Ethan made a decision. He grabbed the emergency override lever, a physical control meant only for catastrophic situations, and pulled it down. The energy field vanished with a sharp crack of sound. The door slid open. Ethan stepped inside. The chamber was vast and dim, filled with floating light. At its center was Leora. Her form flickered wildly, her glow unstable, colors shifting rapidly from blue to white to violent red. The air vibrated painfully. Ethan felt pressure behind his eyes. He had never seen anything like her. She looked at him. Or at least he felt like she did. The energy surged and Ethan braced himself, expecting pain. Instead, the room grew quiet. The pressure faded. The wild light softened. Leora's form slowed its violent movements, her glow settling into a gentle, steady blue. Ethan blinked. The alarm stopped. He stood frozen, breathing hard, waiting for something terrible to happen. Nothing did. Slowly, carefully, he took a step closer. The readings on the chamber walls changed instantly. Energy levels dropped. Stability increased. Ethan frowned. That's weird. Leora drifted closer, still separated by a thin containment layer. Her glow brightened slightly, but it was no longer violent. It felt warm, calm. For the first time since her arrival on the station, Leora did not feel like she was breaking apart. She felt grounded. The control room erupted in chaos. Scientists stared at their screens in disbelief. The energy graphs made no sense. "How is this possible?" one of them demanded. "There's a human inside the chamber," another shouted. "Remove him immediately." Orders were sent. Security teams rushed toward the wing. Ethan heard footsteps and voices approaching. He raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. "I think," he said quietly, unsure who he was talking to, "I think she's calmer with me here." Leora's presence shifted. A soft pulse of light moved through her form. Then a voice filled the chamber, not spoken through air but directly into Ethan's mind. "Do not leave." Ethan gasped, stumbling back a step. Did you just, please stay?" Her voice was gentle, tired, afraid. Ethan swallowed hard. The doors slammed open as armed guards flooded the chamber, weapons raised. They froze when they saw the readings. Energy levels stable. Impossible. Ethan turned slowly, hands still raised. "She asked me to stay." The lead scientist, an old alien with silver skin and narrow eyes, stared at Ethan like he was a dangerous anomaly. "That is not possible," the scientist said. Leora's light pulsed again, brighter this time. The guards shifted nervously. She spoke again, her voice echoing through every mind in the room. "When he is close, my energy does not tear me apart." Silence fell. The scientist's hands trembled. This contradicts all known models." Ethan looked at Leora. Up close she felt less like a weapon and more like a person holding herself together by sheer will. "How long has she been like this?" he asked softly. The scientist did not answer immediately. Then, reluctantly, "Since birth." Ethan clenched his jaw. Leora drifted closer to the containment layer, her light brushing against it like a hand against glass. "He is not afraid of me." Ethan didn't realize that was true until she said it. He was. The scientist's voice hardened. "Human, step away." The energy reading spiked slightly as Ethan took a half step back. Leora's glow flickered. "Stop." Ethan stopped moving. The alarms began to chirp again. The scientist cursed under his breath. "Bring him back." Ethan returned to his previous position. The alarms went silent once more. Everyone stared at him. In that moment, the galaxy's understanding of humans shifted, though none of them realized it yet. Ethan was escorted out later, surrounded by guards. He was placed in a holding room, confused, exhausted, heart still racing. Hours passed. Finally, the door opened. The same scientist entered, expression unreadable. "You will return to the chamber," the scientist said. "You will remain within a specific distance of the Elari subject at all times." Ethan frowned. "I'm not a scientist." "You are a variable," the alien replied. "One we do not understand." Ethan thought of the fear in Leora's voice, of the calm he felt near her. "If I say no," he asked. The scientist met his eyes. "Then she will die." Ethan exhaled slowly. "All right," he said. "I'll stay." As he was led back toward the restricted wing, Ethan felt something change inside him. He was no longer just a guard, no longer invisible. Somewhere behind sealed doors, a being made of living energy waited for him. And for the first time in the history of the galaxy, an impossible truth had revealed itself. Humanity was not weak. It was stabilizing. Ethan's life changed the moment he was officially reassigned. He was no longer listed as security. His new role had no proper name. In the station records, he was labeled as a biological stabilizing presence. Ethan found the wording strange and uncomfortable, but he accepted it. He did not have much choice. He was moved into a small room directly beside Leora's chamber. The door between them remained sealed, but the containment field was adjusted so that he could sit only a few steps away from her glowing form. Sensors followed his every breath, heartbeat, and brain signal. At first, the scientists did not let him speak to her. They watched. They recorded data. They whispered behind glass walls. Whenever Ethan was close, Leora remained stable. Her energy no longer spiked dangerously. Her glow stayed smooth and calm, like a quiet ocean instead of a storm. When Ethan stepped away, even by a few meters, the readings began to rise again. The truth became impossible to deny. Ethan was not just helping. He was necessary. Leora sensed his presence even when she could not see him. When he entered the chamber area, her light always brightened slightly, like recognition. When he slept in the nearby room, her energy remained balanced through the night. On the fourth day, the scientists finally allowed communication. "Hello," Ethan said softly, sitting cross-legged on the floor near the containment field. "Can you hear me?" Yes. Her voice was still inside his mind, gentle but clearer now, stronger. Ethan smiled without thinking. "Good, I was worried that first time was a one-off." It was not. There was a pause, then a ripple of light passed through her form. "You do not fear me." "I think I should," Ethan admitted. "But I don't." That surprised her. "Most beings feel fear, even my own kind." Ethan leaned back against the wall. "Humans get scared of a lot of things, but we're also used to danger. We live with it every day." Leora absorbed this quietly. Her species did not live like that. They were born powerful but fragile in a different way. Their energy demanded isolation. Closeness meant pain. Survival meant distance. Ethan was the opposite. He was fragile, yet he endured closeness. The scientists observed a new change. Whenever Ethan spoke calmly, Leora's energy pattern smoothed even further. Emotional tone mattered. His presence was not just physical, it was mental. This discovery caused fear across the station. If one human could do this, what did it mean for the galaxy? Messages were sent to the Galactic Union Council. High-ranking officials demanded explanations. Some called Ethan a miracle. Others called him a threat. One faction believed humans should be elevated and studied. Another believed Ethan should be removed permanently before this anomaly spread. Ethan knew nothing about the politics. He spent his days sitting near Leora, talking about Earth, about rain and wind and crowded cities. He told her about war and how humans learned to stay calm even when everything around them was chaos. Leora listened. "Your world sounds loud," she said. "It is," Ethan replied. "But it teaches you how to stay centered." The word mattered to her. For the first time in her life, Leora felt like she was not fighting herself. The pain that had followed her since birth faded into something distant. Being near Ethan did not drain her energy. It organized it. She began to wonder what else might be possible. The first attack came without warning. The station's long-range sensors detected an unauthorized ship entering the system. It carried no Union signature. Its energy profile was aggressive and unfamiliar. Pirates. But not the kind that stole cargo. These hunted rare beings. Leora's kind was worth more than entire fleets. The station went into lockdown. Defense drones activated. Scientists panicked. Ethan felt it before the alarm started. Leora's glow flickered. "Danger approaches," she said. Ethan stood up. "Can you defend yourself? I have power, but without you it would tear me apart." The truth hit him hard. "You won't be alone," he said firmly. "I'm here." The pirate ship opened fire on the station's outer defenses. Explosions shook the structure. Lights flickered violently. The containment chamber's stabilizers strained under the stress. Energy levels began to rise. Ethan stepped closer to Leora, placing a hand against the containment field. The surface hummed softly beneath his palm. "It's okay," he said, though fear tightened his chest. "Focus on me." She did. Her light steadied. The scientists shouted orders. They wanted to evacuate Leora, move her deeper into the station. But moving her would break the delicate balance. The pirates breached the outer hull. Boarding alarms screamed. Security teams rushed to intercept, but they were outmatched. The attackers used weapons designed to disrupt energy beings. Leora felt their presence like knives. "They are coming for me." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Then we don't let them take you." The scientist in charge made a desperate decision. "Lower the containment field slightly," he ordered. "Let her interact under controlled conditions." Ethan stared at him. "Are you insane?" "Without this," the scientist said, voice shaking, "we all die." The field weakened. For the first time, nothing separated Ethan from Leora. Her energy brushed against him directly. The sensation was overwhelming but not painful. It felt like standing near a powerful fire that did not burn. His body tingled. His thoughts sharpened. Leora gasped, not in fear but in surprise. "I am stable, more than stable." Together they formed something new. When the pirates breached the chamber doors, they expected chaos. They expected raw power they could capture. What they found instead was control. Leora raised her glowing form, her energy flowing smoothly, guided by Ethan's steady presence. She shaped her power, focusing it into precise waves that disabled weapons without destroying the station. Ethan stood beside her, grounding her, anchoring the storm. The pirates fled in terror. They spread stories across the galaxy. Stories of a human who stood next to living energy and did not burn. Stories of a being who became calm only when a human was near. The Union could no longer hide the truth. Humans were not weak. They were something far more dangerous to the old order. They were compatible with chaos. As the station returned to silence, Ethan sank to the floor, exhausted. Leora hovered close. "You stayed," she said. "Yeah," he replied weakly. "I told you I would." She hesitated, then said something that changed everything. "I do not wish to be stabilized anymore." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" "I wish to live." And for the first time, the galaxy had to consider a future where humans were not just participants among the stars, but the balance that held them together. The silence after the attack felt heavier than the explosions that came before it. The research station drifted slowly, damaged but alive. Emergency lights glowed softly along the corridors. Repair drones moved like insects, sealing hull breaches and restoring power. Outside, the pirate ship was gone, fleeing into deep space with fear instead of profit. Inside the containment chamber, Ethan sat on the floor with his back against the wall. His body felt weak, like he had run for days without rest. His hands trembled slightly. Leora hovered close to him, her glow steady and calm. She was no longer flickering. No alarms sounded. For the first time since her birth, she was not fighting herself. Scientists and guards watched from behind reinforced glass. None of them spoke. They were afraid that words might break whatever fragile balance existed between the human and the energy being. The lead scientist finally stepped forward. "This changes everything," he said quietly. Ethan looked up at him. "You say that like it's a bad thing." The scientist did not answer. News of the incident spread faster than the station could be repaired. Within hours, Union command vessels arrived. High-ranking officials demanded to see Ethan. Others demanded he be removed. Some demanded he be studied. Ethan refused to leave Leora's side. When officers tried to escort him away, Leora's energy spiked for the first time since the attack. Not violently, but enough to shake the chamber. "Do not separate us." Her voice echoed through every mind present. It carried no anger, only certainty. The Union listened. A temporary council was formed aboard the station. Aliens of many species gathered, their faces filled with fear, curiosity, and disbelief. Humans were allowed to attend, but only as observers. Ethan stood at the back of the chamber near Leora's containment field. He felt out of place among beings who ruled star systems. He was still just a former soldier from Earth. But when Leora spoke, all eyes turned toward him. "My people were born powerful," she said, "yet we were never free. Our energy destroys us when we are alone and overwhelms us when we are together. We learn to survive by distance, not by living." Images filled the chamber, visions of Elari drifting alone in deep space, burning out slowly, never touching another soul. Then her glow shifted. "This human does not force control. He does not dominate. He simply exists. And in his presence I do not fall apart." Murmurs spread through the council. A tall alien with crystalline skin stepped forward. "If this is true, then humans represent a destabilizing influence on galactic power structures." Ethan frowned. "I don't even know what that means." The alien looked down at him. "It means the galaxy was balanced by fear and separation, and humans break that balance." Another council member spoke sharply. "We cannot allow one species to become essential to others. That creates dependence." Leora's glow darkened slightly. "You already depended on my suffering," she said, "on my isolation, on my pain." Silence followed. The council argued for hours. Some proposed moving Ethan and Leora to a secure world. Others suggested training humans as stabilizers for energy-based species. A few quietly suggested removing Ethan permanently, believing that without him, things could return to how they were. Ethan listened, anger growing inside him. They were talking about him like he was equipment. He stepped forward. "I'm not a tool," he said, his voice steady, "and neither is she." The council turned toward him. "I didn't ask for this," Ethan continued. "I didn't plan it. I just stayed, that's all I did. I stayed when everyone else kept their distance." He looked at Leora. "No one deserves to live alone just to make others feel safe." The words hit harder than any weapon. The council postponed their decision. Too much had changed, too quickly. In the days that followed, more incidents occurred across the galaxy. Energy-based entities began reaching out to human settlements. Some arrived injured, others arrived desperate. All of them reacted the same way: stability. Humans did not absorb their power. They did not control it. They allowed it to settle. Scientists finally understood why. Humans were chaotic creatures. Their minds balanced fear, hope, love, anger, and calm all at once. Where other species sought perfect order, humans lived inside contradiction. That contradiction created balance. Ethan became the symbol of this discovery, not because he was special, but because he was human. Leora no longer needed full containment. She could move freely within the station as long as Ethan was nearby. She began to explore, watching stars through observation windows, listening to music from Earth, asking questions about simple things. "Why do humans look at the sky when they are sad?" Ethan smiled softly. "Because it reminds us we're small. And that our problems won't last forever." She liked that answer. But peace did not last. A rival empire, one that had never joined the Union, made its move. They saw humans not as partners but as keys. If humans could stabilize energy beings, then controlling humans meant controlling power beyond imagination. Their fleets advanced toward human-controlled space. The Union panicked. They asked Ethan to speak. He stood before the council again, this time not as an observer. "If you try to weaponize this," he said, "you'll lose everything. Humans don't work like machines. We can't be forced into balance, we choose it." The council asked Leora what she wanted. "I choose to live among humans," she said, "not as a resource, as a person." Her decision changed history. The Union declared humans a protected and essential species. Any attack on human worlds would be considered an attack on the balance of the galaxy itself. The rival empire did not believe them. They attacked anyway. The battle that followed was unlike any before it. Humans stood on the front lines, not with superior weapons but with presence. Energy beings fought beside them, stabilized and focused, their power precise instead of destructive. Ethan stood on the command deck of a Union ship, Leora beside him. She extended her energy through human-designed systems, amplifying shields, reinforcing hulls, disabling enemy weapons without destroying life. The enemy fleet broke apart. They retreated. Not because they were defeated by force, but because they could not fight something that refused to become chaos. When the war ended, the galaxy was quieter. Borders shifted. Alliances changed. Fear lost its grip. Leora and Ethan returned to a rebuilt station, now renamed the Anchor. Other Ilari arrived. This time they did not drift alone. They came with humans, not guards, not masters, friends. Ethan sometimes walked the corridors at night, listening to the hum of the station, watching stars pass slowly outside the windows. Leora often floated beside him, her glow reflecting softly off the glass. "I once believed survival meant isolation," she said. "And now?" Ethan asked. "Now I believe survival means connection." Ethan nodded. "Yeah, that sounds about right." Far across the galaxy, new stories spread. Not stories of human strength or dominance, but stories of humans standing close when others stepped away. And in that quiet act, the universe found balance.